The UFC champions are at the top of the MMA food chain for a reason. They are so dominant that it's hard to see what they do wrong. But have you noticed that even the best UFC champions have some bad habits they tend to repeat, which some of their opponents can capitalize on sooner or later? Without further ado, let's examine every UFC champion's bad habit that could cause their downfall. Jang Weili, keeping her hands wide and forward. Zhang Weili is one of the best, well-rounded female fighters on the roster, but one simple habit deprived her of the title before she took it back. Her Achilles heel is keeping her hands wide and forward too often, especially when her opponents launch an assault. It seems as if Weili's defense is to keep her hands like that and return with fire while being vulnerable to straights and uppercuts. When she fought Rose Namajunas on April 24, 2021, Thug Rose capitalized on Weili's bad habit in the most spectacular way. Instead of using looping punches or roundhouse kicks, which Weili's defense could have parried, the American unleashed a lead high kick through the middle, catching the Chinese champion cleanly. The kick was picture perfect, and the subsequent onslaught destroyed any hopes of a comeback. The two fought once again, and Rose Namajunas had her hand raised. So maybe the next challenger should take some notes from Rose's book to capitalize on this small, lousy habit and penetrate through Weili's fortress. Alexa Grasso, using ineffective and often repetitive leg kicks. Yes, Alexa Grasso has developed a lot as a fighter and rarely uses leg kicks, but when she does, they are most ineffective and can be countered with a 1-2 boxing combo or a takedown. When Alexa fought Felice Herrig, her leg kicks could be seen coming from a mile away. Most of them weren't even landing, but hitting thin air, losing energy for no reason. In one instance, Grasso threw 3 repetitive yet ineffective leg kicks, which Herrig exploited and countered with a takedown. The Mexican fighter lost that bout, but now she has enhanced her skills to become a boxer who rarely uses kicks. Grasso won the belt by dethroning the flyweight queen Valentina Shevchenko, but if she returns to her old bad habit, a simple 1-2 from a solid puncher could be the end of Grasso's reign as champion. Raquel Pennington, not moving her head. Everyone knows that Raquel Pennington is not the greatest female fighter we've watched. However, with Amanda Nunes retired and Ronda Rousey still finding excuses for her losses, Pennington seized the opportunity of a lack of competition to become the undisputed UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion. When it comes to bad habits, the American has quite a few, but there is one in particular that stands out. She doesn't move her head. Maybe she should take Edmond Tarverdyan's classes for head movement, but until then, Raquel is a stationary target and easy to hit. Pennington has terrible footwork, charges forward like a bull, and hopes for a takedown. Her primary strategy is to lay on her opponents and win on the judges' scorecards, but her stand-up is, well, average at best. However, moving linearly forward with no head movement, one big counter overhand bomb or precise straight can send Pennington straight to the prelims. Alexandre Pantoja, heavy on his feet. There are 125-pounders who fight in the UFC and don't jump around like grasshoppers. Yes, they exist, and one such example is the current flyweight champion, Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja has an excellent top control game and often seeks a clinch to slowly but surely work his way to the canvas. However, during that process, he is too heavy on his feet, throwing big and often looping punches, which mostly serves to close the distance and to get to a clinch position. But there is a catch. Being heavy on your feet can be horrible if you're fighting someone who utilizes leg kicks. Until that moment arrives, Alexandre Pantoja will keep being heavy on his feet yet reign supreme on the top. Sean O'Malley, keeping his hands down at all times. Who can blame him? Sugar Sean is arguably the best striker in the UFC's bantamweight division. He is tall and lanky, with a height and reach advantage, which he uses to his benefit in the best possible way. His height and reach allow him to keep opponents at bay and pick them apart with strikes. However, it also gives him a sense of security to keep his hands down without any guard. This bad habit has proven primarily effective, but it almost cost him the fight against Petr Yan. The Russian is a monster on the feet with superior boxing like no other. Jan capitalized on Sean's lack of guard and caught him with clean shots multiple times, even wobbling him a couple of times. Sean O'Malley won that fight, but according to many, Petr Yan should have been the victor. If they are ever scheduled for a rematch, O'Malley better eradicate this bad habit by keeping his hands up. Ilia Topuria, reckless assaults with zero focus on defense. Ilia Topuria boxes like a sniper and wrestles like a bear. When he locks his eyes on the target, nothing can stop him from unleashing ballistic missiles until one of them goes down unconscious. El Matador is an excellent boxer, but he tends to expose his chin when launching an assault. This reckless, Cody Garbrandt kind of strategy proves to be quite dangerous when dealing with good counter-strikers. On March 19, 2022, Topuria was set to lock horns with Jai Herbert, a tall striker from England whose counter-striking is his forte. By throwing with both hands and no defense, a high kick from Jai Herbert almost ended Ilia's undefeated run. Everyone remembers how that fight ended, with Jai Herbert going on a blind date with the canvas. However, there was one simple detail that could have made this scenario go all the other way around. As Ilia went on the assault, swinging with both hands while keeping his chin exposed, a short left hook from Herbert missed the target by an inch and landed below the neck. If this punch had connected, Topuria would have been sent straight to La La Land. The Spanish-Georgian fighter hasn't been in real danger ever since, but if someone needs to create a blueprint for defeating him, he should probably consider a Conor McGregor-style counterpunching game. Islam Makhachev, enjoying proving himself on the feet. Okay, before you throw us under the bus, just hear us out. Islam's standing is outstanding, no doubt, but why indulge himself on the feet when he can simply just wrestle, you know? Nobody in the lightweight division can stop his takedowns and ground control, but one heavy punch, like in his fight against Adriano Martins, can change the whole course of the bout. But ultimately, no real bad habits can be exploited against Makhachev unless he gets caught by a big punch and knocked out cold. Leon Edwards, focusing on scoring and winning rounds rather than finishing fights. Okay, if we consider the iconic Kamaru Usman head kick knockout, then none of this would make any sense. However, this Crow Cop-style high kick was a rare exception in Leon's resume. Out of 22 victories, the Brit only managed to win 10 by stoppage while dominating 12 via judges' decisions. Leon Edwards would not go out of his shell and attack with every piece of artillery he had. He would instead implement an intelligent strategy to pick the opponents apart from a distance and not put himself in harm's way. However, this intelligent strategy can be pretty risky, especially in a sport where one shot is all it takes to say, GG, well played. This could be seen in his fight against Nate Diaz. Leon dominated the Stockton native for 5 rounds and was a minute away from winning the battle, but then Nate Diaz landed a colossal straight that wobbled Leon badly. The Brit was saved by the bell and won the fight unanimously, but if there would have been a minute or two left in that bout, all that dominant performance would not have mattered, as Nate would have sealed the deal legally by stoppage. Dricus du Plessis, lack of strategic approach to conserving energy. Dricus is an assassin, no doubt. If Leon struggles to finish fights, Dricus du Plessis is the kind of fighter who doesn't take prisoners. However, his ballistic approach comes at a price. He struggles with pacing himself efficiently throughout the whole fight. The South African goes aggressively from the moment go, mixing his striking with wrestling and looking for the finish. However, that kind of approach demands a lot of energy, and in most of his fights, we've seen Dricus struggle to catch his breath later in the rounds because he is unable to preserve his energy accordingly. Nevertheless, in his last fight against Sean Strickland, he proved the doubters wrong by showing that he can go for 5 rounds and end the bout strong. Let's see if that was just one isolated case, or if we are witnessing a Dricus 2.0 version who knows how to stay hyper-aggressive for 5 rounds. Alex Pereira. Tall, striking stance, vulnerable on takedowns. Alex Pereira has that nuclear option that gives him the edge over opponents. But would he be able to unleash a rocket if someone takes him down and drags him into deep waters? The Brazilian is lucky that someone like Daniel Cormier isn't around anymore. If DC were in his prime, he would have capitalized on Pereira's bad habit of keeping a tall, striking stance and taken him down at will. Single leg takedown all day long. Alex won a close split decision victory against Jan Blachowicz, who capitalized on this bad habit to take the Brazilian into uncharted waters. Luckily for him, Jan wasn't able to end the contest via submission. Keeping a tall, striking stance against a powerful wrestler like DC could spell the end of Pereira's reign as champion. But until someone like that emerges, we will keep watching that left hook from hell, cracking chins left and right. Jon Jones. Use of his dirty tactics, risking disqualification. Is there anyone who disagrees that Jon Jones is one of the dirtiest UFC fighters in history? From eye pokes, illegal knees, and elbows to oblique kicks to the kneecap that can end a fighter's career. Jon Jones has all these weapons in his arsenal and is not shy to use them when needed. He occasionally resorts to eye pokes to disrupt his opponent's focus and uses his reach advantage to strike them before they can strike him. The 12-6 elbows were the reason he was disqualified in his fight against Matt Hamill, and a knee to a grounded opponent against Anthony Smith could have easily resulted in another DQ loss. Some would call these bad habits, but the more accurate term would be unethical habits. Hopefully one day he fights Tom Aspinall, and we'll see how these bad habits could work against someone like the Englishman. Do you agree with our analysis, fight fans? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.